Shalom, and welcome to the Mayor TV Parsha Talks. Shalom, Rav Menachem, welcome.
Shalom, thank you.
This coming Shabbat, we're going to be reading Parshat Behar. And at the end of the week, towards the end of the week, we're going to be celebrating the counting of day number 33, what we customarily call Lag, 33 days of the Omer. What's so special? What is the significance of that day, the Lag BaOmer day?
Well, it's a good question. I would start with what is the counting of the Omer in the first place? It's a strange phrase. We count the Omer, and Omer is
a volume of barley.
It's a measure. It's
a measure,
like
dry measure.
Everybody knows that we count from Pesach towards Shavuot, where we accept the Torah, and the Jewish people perhaps were in 49 levels of impurity, and they had to purify themselves in order to receive the Torah. But that's not really mentioned anywhere in the text. And when we say we count the Omer, it's almost nonsensical to say that we count the gallon or the liter. It's a strange thing to be counting. Perhaps the one other place in the Torah where this measure is used is when the Jewish people came out of Egypt. First they ate the matzah, but very soon the bread that they took with them out of Egypt was gone, and they came to Moshe and said, "What are we going to eat?" And miraculously the man came from heaven, and God provided sustenance for the Jewish people in the desert when He took them out. And how much was each Jew given in the desert? How much man every day?
So there we see it was an Omer.
An Omer measure of the man. And perhaps, actually, the Omer finished, when did the man finish, stop falling for the Jewish people? The Jewish people started to eat from the land of Israel. It was the day after Pesach. And perhaps it started also in this time period. So perhaps us counting the Omer is in some way commemorating the Exodus, the Jewish people's liberation and redemption from Egypt. Just like we have Pesach and Shavuot celebrating what happened in that time period, we're counting the Omer, and essentially one could say we're counting our blessings. We're counting the fact that God gives us the sustenance each and every day, what we need, and counting the days of each day receiving our portion is something that we can learn from to recognize and appreciate all that we do have each and every day. Coming up to the 33rd day, of course, is related to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and perhaps the students of Rabbi Akiva, who tradition tell us 24,000 of them were lost during this period, and tradition has it that they were lost for 33 days. Ad Pros Atzeret, perhaps 2 weeks before Shavuot, works out to be Lag BaOmer, they stopped dying. So we're celebrating that perhaps we're learning the lesson that the students, one tradition has that they didn't nahagu kavod ze bazeh, they did not
honor one another.
Right, they did not behave respectfully to each other. And perhaps during this time period we're learning to appreciate how to respect each other more. And on Lag BaOmer, we're celebrating that we've learned that lesson, along with all the other secrets that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai taught us in the book of the Zohar.
Oh, that's amazing. That sounds very special. And from the counting of the Omer, here in the portion of our week Behar, we have something similar. There's the 7th day of the week, which we have as Shabbat, and there seems to be another Shabbat, the Shabbat of the land, what we call the Shemita.
Right.
What's the significance of this sabbatical year
counting
that we're in right now?
Sure, we're in the Shnat Shmita. Here we are in year 5775, and the Torah seems to use counting as a method to give over ideas to us. Of course, the Omer is also 7 times 7. The number 7 repeats itself, of course, coming from the first time 7 is mentioned in the Torah with the creation of the world. God created the world in 6 days and rested on the 7th. And every time that we have the 7 repeated, whether it's the Shabbat of the end of the week, or it's the Shabbat Haaretz at the end of 7 years of the Shemitah cycle, it of course reminds us that God created the world.
So it's a culmination of a cycle.
Yes.
6 years of working, agricultural work. Here we come to the 7th year, and we resist. We do not work on the 7th year in the agricultural activities.
Right. The Maharal says about Shabbat that if we didn't have a Shabbat, we'd be working nonstop. I actually have some students from China. There's still some places in the world today that have no Shabbat, and they just continue to work.
As if materialism and earthliness are the most important matters.
Right. That's all there is, really, and you can't really get your head above water. You're just constantly working. There's always more to do. There's always some lack to fill. This is the words that he uses. And Shabbat makes us stop, tells us to appreciate that there's something else, perhaps. And the very fact that we stop from this continuous cycle of more and more in the more achievement, more production, it not only gives us a time to rest physically and perhaps emotionally and even spiritually, but it actually gives meaning to the entire process of all the 6 days and the 6 years of the cycles in which we celebrate, because that 1 year helps us understand that there's a higher purpose, that there's a meaning to all of the work that we're doing. It's not just endless treadmill of more and more trying to accomplish, but there's a context in which it's in, and the 7th year gives us the context.
So there we can, in the 7th year, rest, stop doing our activities, and uplift ourselves spiritually, learning, being more connected to the Torah during this year.
Well, just like the Shabbat, there's the prohibitions. You're not allowed to work what you're not supposed to do, and of course we talked about that rest being important for someone who works all the time, and especially there's a social element. The Torah speaks about that you were slaves in Egypt and you should give your slave a day off. And
I'm a landowner for 6 years. I can market my product, have a markup, and make my revenues. And here in the 7th year, anyone comes into my field.
Right, the poor and the rich are equaled off, leveled off, and everybody can equally take from the hefker, from the ownerless fields, the produce of the land. It's definitely a step towards social justice, but that really is parallel to what you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to show your ownership over the field. You're not allowed to work the land like you're the owner.
Commercially harvesting and marketing the product.
For sure.
And today, maybe more and more of the farmers that are still left here in the state of Israel, of course there are not so many, there's more encouragement, I see, for farmers to be keeping the Shemita, the sabbatical year.
Yeah, for sure. We are coming back to the land of Israel after so long. We merit to be able to try and keep these laws, even though we're not necessarily in the biblical level of the command of Shemitah.
Rather, Shemitah is rabbinical today, according to most opinions.
Right, but we try to follow the rules as much as we can. The other side of Shemitah, though, is a positive commandment, just like Shabbat. It's not only shamor, what not to do on Shabbat, but what we're supposed to infuse the Shabbat, the day of rest, with a positive type of rest. A positive, we talk about, of course, going to the synagogue on Shabbat and learning Torah, having more time for the spiritual pursuits, more time to be with your family on Shabbat than you have during the week. And the same thing the Shemitah year. There are farmers who are fully keeping the commandment this year, and they're taking a sabbatical year, going to learn Torah, to refresh their spiritual energy, so that they're able to go back and renew themselves and understand more the meaning of why building the land of Israel, working the land of Israel, and producing, making its fruits plentiful. What gives that so
and
much meaning?
We see special bounty, a special blessing and yield in a lot of the farming that's going all across the country, as if just like the Torah promises, when you're going to keeping the Shemitah, in the 6th year is going to be a great blessing.
Yeah, sure. There's only 2% of the population in Israel, approximately, are farmers nowadays. But there are amazing stories of farmers who dedicated themselves to not working the holy. Just now we were blessed with a tremendous winter full of rains, which are preparing the fields for the next round of planting. Perhaps it'll be a great blessing in the years to come.
God willing. So we welcome this great Shemitah that we're now in the midst of, and we also welcome our viewers that are still abroad. Join us, the Jewish people. Let's raise the Aliyah rate, and God willing, soon will come the days that Shemitah will be a Torah obligation. We have a majority, perhaps, of the Jewish people living in our land. Amen.
Be'ezrat Hashem.
Thank you, Rabbi
Menachem
Menachem.
soon. And if you have some time off and you want to spiritually enrich yourself, you can come and study with us
At
in
Mechon
Mechon
Meir.
Meir. Torah is, somebody who works all week, he's supposed to learn more Torah on Shabbat than he can the rest of the week. So too, if someone has a semester off or a year in which he's not working or is able to take himself away from his obligations, we'd love to have you here in Mechon Meir, study Torah with us here in Jerusalem.
Fantastic. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Rabbi Menachem.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.